What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Ethan Horror, and today we are back with another tier list. Today, we are actually going to be doing another killed tier list. I believe I've done Terrifier and Final Destination, and I found another franchise that has a decent amount of kills that are creative and fun enough to rank on a tier list, and that is A Nightmare on Elm Street. I thought about doing Friday the 13th, then I remembered there's like a 300 kills in Friday the 13th, but there's only about 45-ish in A Nightmare on Elm Street, so we're going to be going through and ranking all of them, not ranking them, tier ranking them, so it's much easier than putting together a list ranking all 41. There's 41 kills in A Nightmare on Elm Street, and let's just get right into it. You guys know the drill. So, here we are at the tier list. As you can see, we got all the kills down here, and at the top we have...
This is God.
Just below that, we have... Then we have...
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Then we have Snooze Fest. I couldn't think of another Nightmare on Elm Street quote, so Snooze Fest will do. And then at the bottom we have...
Welcome to my nightmare.
So, with that being said, let's get right into it with the first kill of the A Nightmare on Elm Street series, and that is Tina Gray's death. She has a rather iconic death. I'd say probably the most iconic kill in the entire series. I do really like it. I like the use of the flipped room, so like in actuality she's crawling across the floor, but to us it looks like the ceiling because they built the room upside down. I think that's really cool. I think it's a very terrifying sight, but as far as the kills in the Nightmare on Elm Street series go, I'm going to stick it in Welcome to Prime Time. I think it is a great kill, a super iconic moment in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, but it's kind of just a slash across the chest. It is a terrifying image and a great way to open the movie, but as far as creativeness I would have preferred a little bit more. It's still great. Just not top tier. Then we have Rod Lane, and he gets hanged with a bed sheet. Pretty boring. I know it's kind of like he's making it seem like he did it himself, because that's what Freddy Krueger does in these first few movies, is he kind of makes it look like they did it themselves. This is actually one of the only times he does it, but he does it a couple other times, I think. But this one is... I'm going to stick it in Snooze Fest. I'm sorry. I have always thought this is such a lame kill, especially considering this has two of, like, the best kills of the series in the first movie. And then you get this kill just thrown in the middle there, and I've always thought that that's so weird because this kill is so boring. I do like some of the effects of, like, the bed sheet wrapping around his neck, but otherwise, like... it's pretty boring. Then we have Glenn Lance, and this is the only reason that I kept Tina's kill out of the top tier, is because I think Glenn's does a much better job at the flipped room thing. So I'm going to put this one in This Is God. I think that this is possibly the best kill in the entire series. It is, again, iconic, just as iconic as Tina's death, if not more. I mean, I feel like they're pretty on the same level. The way that the blood geyser just erupts from the bed is such a great image, and then the way the blood, like, shifts across the ceiling, because in all actuality, that was the floor, so it looks really cool, really terrifying. I think this is one of the best kills that this franchise has ever given us. Then we have Marge, I believe is her name, Nancy's mom. I always thought this kill is boring. You just walk in and Freddy's on fire and he's strangling her, and then, like, her charred corpse, like, goes back into, like, an abyss or something. I've always thought this whole part was a little bit weird, but yeah, I'm just gonna stick it in Snooze Fest. Not awful, I guess. The burn effects look decent, but yeah, just never been one that's really stuck out. Then we have the gym coach. He has a very interesting scene leading up to his death where Freddy strips him down and towel whips him. Yes, you heard me right. Freddy Krueger towel whips a guy who's naked. I'm starting to see why people call this movie gay. But otherwise, I mean, it's just kind of a slash. He just slashed him with a finger knife. So I'm gonna stick it in Don't Fall Asleep just for the absurdity of the scene leading up to it. It always has stuck out to me as one of the most just insane moments in the entire franchise. So I'm gonna stick it in Don't Fall Asleep, but it's a pretty basic kill. Then we have Ron Grady, and I actually think this is an underrated kill in the series. It's pretty basic. It's just a stab, but with the finger knives. So I'm actually gonna stick this one into Welcome to Primetime. I don't know why. I've always loved this kill. And it's not that, like, it's super gory or it's super graphic. I just really like the shot of the back of the door when the finger knives go out the other side and the blood, like, spills down. I've just always really liked that shot. It's a pretty basic, just, you know, stab with the finger knives, but I've always loved that shot, so it's gonna bring it up into Welcome to Primetime when it probably should just be, like, a middle tier one. Then we have the pool partiers. I didn't know how many people died in this scene, so I went to Dead Meat, the kill count, and 7 people. That's how many people die in this scene, because I looked in the kill count. I believe there's a person that gets trampled, there's a guy that gets thrown into a grill, there's a couple stabs. It's just kind of a little massacre. I mean, Freddy never gets the chance to really just go crazy and, you know, massacre a bunch of people, because it's really about the dreams and everything building up to that. And it's kind of fun to see him do it for once, but I've always thought that it's weird that Freddy Krueger is able to do this and come into the real world, and then he never does it again in the rest of the franchise, because they're like, oh yeah, that would be weird if he was just able to do that. But he was able to do it this one time. I'm going to stick in Don't Fall Asleep. None of the kills are really creative. It's just kind of fun to see this happen, because Freddy never gets to do it again. So that's why it's in the middle, but again, kills aren't very creative. Then we have Carrie. Nightmare on Elm Street's weird. I didn't know whether to count this. There's so many kills in this series where it's like, was that a dream? Or I think this is a dream, but I'm counting it. Okay, regardless of it being a dream or not. She died in the dream, so I guess, yeah, I don't know. It makes sense to me. I'm gonna stick in Don't Fall Asleep. It's pretty basic. The finger knives just, like, erupt from her chest. There's not even really any blood. I just kind of like the jump scare ending, so honestly, it's not that great of a kill, but I think it's decent. Then we have Philip from Dream Warriors. We're finally into Dream Warriors, which is maybe my favorite now. I mean, I love the original, but I mean, it's getting close there. There's still some things in this that bug me, but I love it. And Philip is going straight up into This Is God. This is the hardest scene to watch in the entire Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Not even because of the death itself, just watching his veins get ripped out of his arms and his legs. It is just, oh my god, it looks so good, and it's so hard to watch. I can't look away from it, but I also really want to look away from it because it is disgusting. And then he gets puppeteered to jump off of the building. I don't love the effects of Freddy in the sky, but just the gory factor of the veins being ripped from his arms I can't punish it for a crappy CGI, because it's the 80s. I mean, the CGI never looked that great. Then we have Jennifer. It's the tier. I named it after it. And
You're big breaking TV. Welcome to prime time, bitch.
That's exactly where it's gonna go. She gets her face smashed in a TV. I know, it has one of the most iconic one-liners in the entire series. And I can't deny that. If it was on a one-liners tier list, it would be in the top tier. It's a great, great line that I quote very often. But it's not gory. It's creative, I guess, seeing, you know, someone get their face smashed in a TV. But, like, that's it. So I'm not gonna say it's necessarily... I'm not going to put it in the top tier just because of the line, okay? It's a great line, and obviously it named one of the tiers, and that's the tier I put it in, so makes sense to me. Then we have Taryn, and I like the effects of, like, the holes on her arm. I think that looks very good, but otherwise I've never really loved this scene. I know it's kind of like, you know, he's using things from their past to kill them, so, you know, it hits them harder, I guess, but I've just never really loved this specific kill. I think it's great, but and it has another great one-liner, you know, when he says let's get high. I think it's good. I'm gonna stick it in Don't Fall Asleep. Could go up to Welcome to Primetime. I think it's decent. I like the effects, but it's just never been a scene that I really love. And we have Will, Wizard Master Will. This scene's gonna go into Welcome to My Nightmare, because this could have been a fantastic kill. I mean, you set it up with, he has this wheelchair that has a bunch of spikes in it, and like you just saw him kill Taryn with the drug, so it's like, oh, he's gonna use another thing from his past, the wheelchair, to kill him. No, he turns into a wizard and blows up the wheelchair, which is already stupid as that, so like that is enough to bring it down here. And then you set up this wheelchair as like a potentially great kill, and then he just stabs him in the chest. So I mean, I have said that like boring chest stabs are decent in this series because it's the finger knives, but this one just, you set up the wheelchair, and then we get this. So yeah, I'm gonna put it down there. And we have Nancy's dad, Donald Thompson, I don't know. He gets thrown into some like metal spike and bleeds out. I feel like it's pretty anticlimactic, especially for his character who's like coming back to finally put Freddy to rest. And he just gets thrown into that. So I'm going to stick it in Snooze Fest. And we have Nancy Thompson herself. I do think this is the most emotional moment of possibly the entire series. I do feel like it's a bit stupid on Nancy's behalf, because she sees her dad like float in, and it's like, obviously that's not your real dad, but she apparently thinks it is. She walks over to him, basically walks straight onto the finger knives. So for the emotional value, I'm gonna stick it in Don't Fall Asleep, but I do think it's pretty stupid the way that she goes out. Now we're on to Dream Master, which actually surprisingly has some very good kills. But starting off with Kincaid. The chase scene leading up to it is pretty good, but then it ends with him just getting stabbed in the gut. So I'm going to stick in Don't Fall Asleep. The chase scene's good, but it's just a basic stab. Then we have Joey, who is another great character and another great kill scene. The method of death is just a drowning. He drowns him in the waterbed, but that's a super creative kill. I personally really like this scene. I really like the one-liner that happens before it.
How's this for a wet dream?
I wouldn't put it in the top tier of a Nightmare on Elm Street kills. I'm going to stick it in Welcome to Prime Time. Then we have Kristen Parker, who she gets thrown into a furnace and burned alive, and then you get that really stupid line that sets up the worst part of the series, where Alice collects her friends' dream powers as they die. It's stupid, but you get that set up here, and honestly, just for that, I'm putting it into Welcome to My Nightmare. Then we have Sheila. This is another great sequence and a very creative kill, but I personally like this scene just slightly better than the waterbed sequence, which is already great. But this has another great one-liner.
Wanna suck face?
Leading up to another great creative kill, where he literally sucks the life out of her. And I'm going to stick this one into the top. I think the effects look great. I think everything leading up to it is great. I just really like this scene, and that's the only reason I'm putting it in the top, and I didn't put Joey's in the top. I just prefer it slightly, and I don't know. I think Dream Master has the best kills of the series as far as like an average, so it's pretty good. I just said they have the best kills, and then I bring up Rick's death, who he has this super lame shadow fight where he like fights an invisible Freddy, where he's just basically like punching curtains and stuff, and then a disembodied finger knife glove just like floats up and stabs him in the chest. I can't with this scene. I think it's so stupid. I'm putting it in the bottom, but it's a basic chest stab, but the scene leading up to it completely kills any potential it had. Then we have Debbie. I take this back. This is my favorite kill in the entire series. Debbie is going straight up to the top. The effects of the cockroach is so good. The way her skin just like falls off, the way her face falls off and just slowly reveals more and more cockroach parts. It's so terrifying and great, and I just love this sequence so much, especially when she's lifting up the bar, and then I don't remember if it just like falls back down or Freddy pushes it and it rips open her arms, and then her skin flesh just falls off and reveals the cockroach arms, and it's just such a great kill. I mean, obviously, he just like crushes her at the end, and it's not great, but everything leading up to it is too good to ignore. So, fantastic kill. And the final kill I have from Dream Master, I never knew when to count Freddy, like if I should put him on the death Like, does he die in the original? Does he die in Freddy's Revenge? Does he die in Dream Warriors? I don't know. This felt like the most concrete death because in the next one, he has to be literally rebirthed to be a new demon. So I think this is the most concrete death, at least so far. If I should have counted some of the other ones, whatever. But he's torn apart by his previous victims. I'm just thinking Don't Fall Asleep. I would have preferred to see a little bit more of it, but still pretty decent way to kill your character, or your lead villain, I mean. Now we're on to Dream Child, and there's only 3 kills in Dream Child, but I do feel like they're pretty solid, all 3 of them. Starting off, we have Dan, who has a awesome motorcycle stunt, where he is starting to get fused with the motorcycle. The wires like come up and they go through his hands, and it comes up to his face. That's the one complaint I have, is I don't love the effects of like his wired up face. I don't love that, but I think it's a great stunt because they actually drive that motorcycle. Like, I think it looks pretty good when he's on the motorcycle. I just don't love the effects of, the wires in his face. So for that, I'm not going to put it in the top, but I'm still going to stick it in Welcome to Prime Time. I think it's a solid kill. Then we have Greta, and Greta's death for me has always been conflicting because it is nasty. It is nasty and disgusting. But I'm a little freak, okay? I really like this kill. I have always loved this kill. I thought it is disgusting. It's horrific. It's one of the most comedic Nightmare on Elm Street movies, but this moment is genuinely horrific. I'm actually going to stick it up in the top in This Is God. I know the effects on the cheeks don't look great, but the thought of having someone cut your stomach open and force feed you your own flesh is so horrific, and then the way they do it is so disgusting. It is just, I can't help but love it. It is a disgusting, nasty scene, but I love it. And the last kill in Dream Child, because I only have 3, is Mark. And this is definitely my least favorite of the 3 kills. He is turned into a comic, and then Freddy just like slashes him to pieces and the paper rains down. And actually he does like bleed out ink, I think, which is a good visual. But and it is just creative. It is creative, and it sets up like he draws comic books. It's good. I'm going to put it in Welcome to Prime Time. I think it's a solid kill, but it's very creative. But it's just, of the 3, I think it's probably my least favorite. Now we're on to Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare. And Freddy's Dead, for what it's worth, this first kill I'm going to talk about, I think is the best part of Freddy's Dead. I hate Freddy's Dead, but this kill, Carlos, is a very good scene. It leans into the scary and the funny Freddy. I think it's the only scene in the movie where Freddy is effectively scary and funny. He's just trying to be funny the rest of the movie, so you can't take him seriously. But in this scene, I think it works because he gives Carlos like a super hearing aid, and then he's like, rubbing nails on a chalkboard. He's dropping pins. Like, it's a good comedy scene, but it's also horrific as like Carlos is screaming because it's like super enhanced in his ears. And then it ends with his head blowing up. I think it's a great sequence and a great kill, and an exploding head is how it ends. So I'm honestly going to put it up in the top tier. I hate Freddy's Dead, but I have to admit this kill is pretty good. Then we have Spencer. This sequence can just, no. It's the whole video game sequence with the crappy effects and him like bouncing around in the house and then he falls to his death. No. Then we have John Doe, who is dropped onto a bed of spikes. The effects on this one, pretty solid. I think it's decent. I'm going to stick it in the middle here and Don't Fall Asleep. Not super creative. I didn't want to include it, but I felt like I had to because we do see her die. But so Loretta Kruger, who gets strangled to death by Freddy in a flashback. I'm just going to stick it in Snooze Fest because I didn't want to put it on the list even, but I felt like I had to because we technically see her die. And we got Freddy Krueger again, which I feel like this is like the second most concrete death of Freddy, where he gets blown to pieces because like technically this timeline ends here. So I feel like that's the actual end of Freddy. And it's called Freddy's Dead, so Freddy dies here. But I'm going to stick this in Welcome to My Nightmare. It is just, he gets blown up, and the effects look great when he gets blown up at first, but then his like stupid CGI head flies at the camera, and then like another head like births from his mouth, and a second Freddy head comes out. It looks stupid. The effects on the explosion combined with the effects on the crappy head, it really, every time I see it, I'm like, really? That's the final time we get to see Freddy die. And I actually wasn't sure whether to count these two or not. Chuck and Terry, who are the like technicians on the film, they get killed with like various finger knife stabbings. But then it is revealed later that they did die, so I'm just gonna assume that these are the methods that they died in. So the first guy, Chuck, gets stabbed in the throat with the finger knives. I think if you're going to do a stabbing with the finger knives, I would go for the throat. I feel like that's a much more creative kill than just stabbing him in the chest, because there's not really much there. But like when you stab someone in the throat, you feel it, you know? Like you get that feeling. So I'm going to stick this one into Don't Fall Asleep. They don't do it twice though, because Terry just gets stabbed in the chest, and not really stabbed. He like barely gets pricked with the finger knives. Like it literally goes in like that far into his chest. And apparently that's enough to kill him. So I've always thought that this is stupid. That, like, he barely even gets stabbed. And it's a chest stab, and it's stupid. I'm gonna stick it in the snooze fest, because it doesn't offend me like the bottom tier does. I just always thought it was stupid that he barely gets stabbed. Then we get Chase, who is Heather Langenkamp's fictional husband in this. He kind of has... It's kind of derivative of the Dan kill from part 5. And I like it a significant amount less than that one, because it's like, you see the finger knives like come up between his legs, and then he gets stabbed in the chest. I just feel like it kind of was like playing off of the part 5 scene, but they don't do it nearly as well, and it's not even like, he doesn't even get like fused into the motorcycle and then crash, he just gets stabbed. So I'm gonna stick it in snooze fest. Then we have Julie, and this is a derivative of the Tina kill from part 1. But I do like this one because they do something different and it works. They do something different where you get to actually see Freddy dragging her across the ceiling, and it's scary. Granted, it's scarier in the original, or not scarier, scary in the original when you see him where you just see her getting dragged across the ceiling. But seeing him actually get to drag her is terrifying in this because it's something new. It's something we haven't seen before. So I think it really adds something to the scene. I'm not going to put it into This Is God. I'm just going to stick it in Welcome to Prime Time. But I think it adds enough to the scene to make it stand out as not just a cheap rehashing. Then we have the Freddy entity. I didn't know whether to count this or not either, but he gets burned alive and then he like morphs back into his true form and explodes. I don't like the effects when his face like morphs back. Wes Craven's Nightmare probably has the worst digital effects of the series, so just seeing that digital effect isn't great, and I just don't like it. It always is jarring when I see it, so I'm gonna stick it in the snooze fest. Then we have Mark from Freddy vs. Jason, which is the only kill that Freddy gets in that entire movie. Yeah, that's stupid. I agree. I love Freddy vs. Jason, but I do think Freddy should have gotten some more kills than just one. And the scene's pretty good. It's pretty terrifying. I like the effects of the slash going across his face, but I'm just sticking in the middle there. I did decide to include Freddy Krueger on this one as well, because I refuse to acknowledge that Freddy's Dead is the last time we get to see Freddy die. This is the official end to Freddy for me. This is, Freddy is dead now. He's officially, obviously he winks at the end. Maybe that's a dream. I don't know. I counted it. Because I refuse to acknowledge that Freddy's Dead is the one that kills Freddy. So this is the one that kills Freddy. He gets decapitated. A whole bunch of stuff happens before that. He gets like his arm ripped off and then shoved through his own chest, which is great. And then, yeah, he gets his head knocked off. So I'm actually going to put it into Welcome to Prime Time. Now we got the remake. We only got a few kills to go through here, but we do have Dean, who Freddy forces himself to cut his throat open, and it's one of the few times where he actually makes it look like they did it himself, and it is in the remake, so people don't like to acknowledge it, but I do think it's a solid scene. I personally think that, you know, it's not the best, but I think if it was in any movie besides the remake, people would acknowledge it as a pretty good kill, and I'm gonna stick into Welcome to Prime Time. Then we have Chris, and they just do the exact same thing as part 1. You know how, like I said, that with Julie, they add something unique to it. You get to see him dragging her across the ceiling. No, they just do the exact same thing as the original. So I don't even care. I'm just going to stick it. I'm not going to stick it in the bottom because it's fine. I'm just going to stick it in Snooze Fest because it's just the exact same thing we've already seen. We have Jesse. He gets finger knives through the back. It's kind of just the one from part 2 with Carrie, but it actually has some blood. So I'm just going to stick it in the same tier as Carrie and Don't Fall Asleep. I mean, it's pretty basic. And we have human Freddy Krueger. I decided to put him on here because he is burnt alive. we've heard about it multiple times throughout the series. We've never actually seen it. We actually get to see his backstory in this one, and we see him getting burnt alive. With that being said, it's just a burning. Just gets lit on fire. So I'm just gonna stick in snooze fest. It's a great moment for the series, but otherwise it gets lit on fire. Then we have Nancy's mom. I believe her name is Gwen in this one. And again, this could be a dream. I don't know. But I have always loved this ending. I don't love the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. It's pretty bad. But this is always stuck out to me as probably my favorite moment of the entire series, where she sees Freddy in the mirror, and then he just reaches through, and his hand goes through the back of her mom's head. And it's like you've seen it go through the chest before, but going through the head and coming out her eyes, like 2 of the finger knives come out her eyes. And it is a little bit of CGI, so obviously, they could have done it a little bit more practically, but I've always loved this kill, and for me, it's going to go up into the top, and This Is God. I know that's a controversial one. Most people probably wouldn't have it anywhere near the top, but for some reason, this kill has always stuck out to me as one of my favorites, and that is my official completed Nightmare on Elm Street kill tier ranking. And that is going to be it for today's video. Remember, if you did enjoy, you should hit like and subscribe so anyone want to see more videos like it in the future. Otherwise, you can comment down below some more video ideas for me, or hit the bell notification to be notified when I post any brand new videos. You can click the video on the screen or the playlist, which I will put up here, of my other kill rankings. But until next time, I'm Ethan Horror. This has been Ethan Horror.